I'm Graham Elwood. You are watching The Political Vigilante. Oh, fighting the truth. There's the dark night. Yeah. So we were talking about Jim Messina on Aggressive Progressive with Jimmy Dore on the Young Turks, and somebody sent me some articles more about Jim Messina. One of them is from Politico in 2014. So I'm starting to get to learn a little more about Jim Messina, and it's interesting. Here's why we need to know about Jim Messina, for those of you who don't, is we've been talking a lot on this show, and when I'm on Jimmy Dore, we're talking about the corporate Democrats and how they're not really a party for liberal progressives. They're not about helping people. They're just, and this article in 2014 calls him basically a Democratic Karl Rove, and that's who he is. And he's credited, or he tries to take credit for Obama's reelection in 2012. The economy was still reeling, and he got Obama reelected. And everyone's like, oh, what a genius. And so what this article goes into, again, in 2014, 3 years ago, is now he's taking that and he's becoming a big shot. And he's getting big speaking fees and super PACs and all this other stuff. And it just is more evidence back in 2014 of why the Democrats are not a party for the people. And it's this kind of crap why, and you're going to hear some great names in there of why they keep losing, and why they're baffled as to why they lost in 2016. They don't understand, and they keep making more excuses, and that's why they're on this Russian witch hunt and whatever else, because of they're barely any different than the GOP. So here's what Jim Messina does, right? So Messina is moving aggressively to capitalize on his newfound fame and status as the maestro who ran a masterful re-election campaign for president mired in a slumping economy. Again, this is 3 years ago. Excuse me. I'm allergic to Jim Messina's bullshit. He's building a political fiefdom through his deep ties to rich Democrats and a nexus of big money operations, including the Obama nonprofit Organizing for Action, whose major donors Messina is hosting in his office Monday, and whom the president will address Tuesday, and Priorities USA, the pro-Obama turned pro-Hillary Clinton super PAC. She had her eyes in the White House, obviously, in 2008, had a before then, but then in 2014 was like, I'm going to do it. And that's when Hillary started lining up using this super PAC. She got everybody lined up. You notice she had 0 women running against her in the primary. None. Why didn't Elizabeth Warren run? You know what I mean? Why didn't any other female, why didn't like a young female get in? Why didn't Kamala Harris run or anybody like that? How come they didn't run? Yeah, because Hillary was already saying, nope. Line up a bunch of stiff old white dudes, and I'm with her. And Messina's one of these guys helping that. He's grabbing a lot of cash in the form of speeches at roughly $50,000 a pop to corporate special interests like the American Petroleum Institute. I've talked about the American Petroleum Institute before, but it bears repeating since Jim Messina, a big, good lefty Democrat. If you're getting paid by the American Petroleum Institute, they have funded climate change denying. They got a bunch of scientists, paid them a bunch of money. They've been doing this for a long time, saying, oh, I don't think climate change is that bad. They bought, as I've said before, ad time in this past Super Bowl. That's not cheap. And they're paying fuckheads like Jim Messina $50,000. And he also spoke to the United Arab Emirates of Sharjah. Like, he's a big oil guy. He's a big oil guy. And had Hillary won, he would have been in their cabinet. He's just he's Rex Tillerson with a rainbow flag. That's all the Democrats are. And this article goes on, he's and it's 2014, they still haven't learned. So, hey, he's got a big Rolodex. He knows how to raise money. Oh, that's why they reelected Nancy Pelosi. She's good at fundraising. It doesn't matter. As I've said millions of times, and most of you already know, Hillary outfunded and outspent Trump 2-1 and still lost. Still lost. So I'll give a quote from Florida lawyer John Morgan, a Clinton intimate who became close to Messina during the 2012 campaign and then donated at least $50,000 to the OFA. The real difference between him and Karl Rove is one has an outsized ego and it's about him, and the other has an ego that's very much in check and it's about the cause and the candidates. Oh, the cause of the American Petroleum Institute? This is the bullshit of the Democratic Party right there. The article calls him, he's just like Karl Rove, but he's not as bad as Karl Rove. Really? He gets money from rich Middle Eastern oil companies and the American Petroleum Institute. How is he not worse than Karl Rove? It's just more that fake democratic liberal bullshit. Oh man. So let me go into this down here a little bit. He worked in the campaign and now he's making money from it. So if you remember, Donna Brazile worked in Gore's campaign in 2000. What she did? She just jumped over to CNN, which she got fired from when she was feeding Hillary answers during the debates, and then of course just got hired by the DNC. Like, that's the Democratic Party. A woman who ran a campaign, a shitty campaign in 2000. Al Gore should have fucking crushed George Bush. Ran a shitty campaign. They bailed. And of course, when the election was stolen, because if you let it get close, then the Republicans steal it with their gerrymandering and their voter suppression. But Democrats they don't mind voter suppression that much anyway. Both parties want a small amount of people to vote. This article goes on and on. It's just unbelievable. And this was done in 2014. So this is who is inside the Democratic Party. And this is how they've been doing it for a long time. And with guys like this who are just, again, a left-leaning... It's like the Democratic Party is the country club that, the Republicans are the country club that won't let Jews and blacks join. And the Democratic is the country club that lets a couple of Jews and blacks join as long as they have a lot of money. That's the difference. They're both just country club assholes. And Jim Messina is part of the fucking problem. The link is below. Learn more about Messina. And thanks for sending me this kind of stuff. And go to Patreon, because you can, for a couple dollars a month, I'm going to give you exclusive access to stuff, and you can help. I'm going to do, for $10 a month, you get one video that's unique just to Patreon backers at that level. I'll do a Skype interview with you for $25 a month. You can really help support independent media. And maybe I can get a better lighting setup. Thanks for watching. And like and subscribe and share this. I'm seeing a lot of you share this on your social media, and I think that's fucking awesome, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.